They've bloody done it again. The mob in Canberra have just handed your hard-earned gas, your electricity, your super and your future to the highest foreign bidder. And they didn't even have the decency to lube up first. Mate, if you're still under the illusion that the blokes running this country give a toss about you, buckle up, because we're ripping the Band-Aid off and showing just how deep this political infection goes. Let's get something straight. Australia is sitting on a bloody ocean of gas. Literal rivers of the stuff underground. Enough to keep every home warm, every factory humming, and every sausage sizzle in full swing for decades. But somehow, we've managed to become the only gas exporting country in the bloody world that doesn't keep any of it for ourselves. Not 1 cubic foot guaranteed for Aussie homes. Instead, it gets piped off to China, Japan, Korea, anyone but the people who actually live on this sunburnt rock. Before we rip into this Gasgate disaster, where Albo sells off our gas, Dutton watches in silence and Victoria gets rewarded for screwing it all up. Smash that like button like it just slapped you with a $999 power bill. Subscribe if you're done paying top dollar for your own bloody gas. And grab the Error 404 Motivation Not Found tea. Links in the description before they tax your outrage too. Now I know what you're thinking. Surely our leaders aren't that thick. Oh no, mate. They're not thick. They're just bought. Bought, sold, and delivered like a Coles chook on discount. You think Albo and his crew just forgot to reserve gas for locals? Nah. They knew. But they also knew there were a few extra dollars, or should I say yuan, to be made if they just looked the other way. And look, they did. Eyes wide shut, mate. This isn't just political laziness. This is strategic betrayal. The Rudd Gillard clown show kicked it off when they greenlit those LNG export terminals in Gladstone. With zero domestic reservation. None. Nada. They may as well have said, "Cheers for the votes, Australia." Now get stuffed. And when the coalition finally grew a spine and put forward a gas reservation policy, what did Labor call it? A thought bubble. Like making sure Aussies could actually afford to heat their homes was some cute little idea you scribble on a pub napkin. Fast forward a few years, and the chickens have come home to roast. We're now facing the absurd situation where, I kid you not, Australia, the land of gas exports, is getting ready to import gas. Read that again. Import gas into Australia. That's like Queensland running out of beer and flying in kegs from Germany. It's idiotic. And worse, it's intentional. But here's the kicker. While your power bill explodes and your local servo's jacking up prices like it's a hostage negotiation, gas companies are posting record profits. Shell, Santos, Origin, laughing all the way to the offshore bank. And what do our so-called leaders do? They give them a pat on the back and a bigger tax loophole. And if you're thinking, well, at least we'll get cheaper prices eventually, right? Don't hold your bloody breath. The only thing flowing cheaper than gas is political promises, and they evaporate quicker than Dan Andrews' accountability. Queensland's out here opening up new gas fields like it's Christmas morning, but because there's no reservation policy, none of it's staying here. It's like growing your own veggie patch and letting the neighbours raid it while your kids eat 2-minute noodles. And don't even get me started on Victoria. Oh, Victoria. If states were school kids, Victoria would be the one who lit the classroom bin on fire, failed the test, then still got a bloody award for most creative effort. Drowning in debt, banning gas exploration, blowing out infrastructure budgets like confetti. And what does the federal government do? They bail them out with $7.5 billion in extra GST. Meanwhile, New South Wales and Queensland, the kids actually doing their homework, get shafted. New South Wales gets a measly $1.1 billion. Queensland? They lose $2.8 billion. That's right. Punished for actually producing gas. It's like we're living in a political version of everyone gets a trophy. Except instead of orange slices and participation medals, we're handing out billions of taxpayer dollars to the most incompetent state in the nation. If this was a footy match, the scoreboard would read, Victoria, 1. Accountability, 0. And while all this is going down, productivity across the country is nosediving like a magpie in breeding season. We've added nearly 9 million people to this country since the turn of the century. And what have we got to show for it? crowded trains, housing shortages, and infrastructure that's flimsier than a Woolies bag in the rain. Our capital investment per worker is plummeting. It's the economic equivalent of trying to build a skyscraper on a foundation of fairy floss. Imagine running a cafe with one coffee machine and hiring 10 baristas. That's what we're doing to the economy. It doesn't matter how many hands you've got if there's nothing for them to work with. But our fearless leaders keep importing more people, stacking more pressure on housing, roads, hospitals, and still can't be asked to invest in the actual tools to make it work. Why? Because it's easier to cook GDP growth with immigration than to build a real bloody economy. They're using migration like a sugar hit to mask the fact that underneath the hood, the engine's sputtering like a Holden with a busted timing chain. The Productivity Commission's warning sirens are blaring, economists are screaming blue murder, and our leaders? They're too busy smiling for the camera and cutting ribbons on overpriced tram stops no one asked for. This whole thing, from gas exports to productivity collapse, is one giant house of cards built on spin, stitched together with press releases and propped up by a media too gutless to call it out. But here's the thing, mate. People are waking up. The bloke in the high-vis who can't afford to fill his ute. The single mum choosing between heating and dinner. The retiree watching their super get raided while Albo promises cost of living relief, with all the sincerity of a junk mail flyer. And just when you think it can't get any worse, in strolls the ATO like the final boss in a bad video game. These Muppets have started whispering about taxing unrealized gains. You heard that right. You could be taxed on money you haven't even made yet. Your house goes up in value. Bang. Cough up the cash. Never mind if you haven't sold it. Never mind if you're already stretched tighter than a tradie's stubby shorts. It's like taxing you for thinking about buying a jet ski. And while this tax fantasy floats around Parliament House, your real earnings are being gutted. Wages aren't keeping up with inflation. Savings are eroding faster than the Great Barrier Reef. And every week, another bright idea comes from Canberra that somehow manages to screw the little guy even harder. What happened to governing for the people, for the worker, the battler, the small business owner having a crack? We've replaced them with policy wonks, bureaucrats, and globalist bootlickers who wouldn't know a day of hard work if it smacked them in the face like a soggy thong. These people live in an economic echo chamber where the only voices that matter are lobbyists in tailored suits and consultants charging $600 an hour to say, let's reframe the narrative. Meanwhile, out here in the real world, we're busting our guts just to keep the lights on. And don't think this is just an energy problem. This is systemic. This is what happens when you run a country like a PR campaign. Every press conference is full of slogans. Every budget is smoke and mirrors. And every so-called solution ends up being a brand new problem with a shiny coat of spin. They say we're all in this together. But funnily enough, the people saying that never seem to be the ones skipping meals or freezing through winter. They're not queuing at Centrelink. They're not getting slugged by rent hikes or mortgage rate punches to the gut. No, they're in their heated offices, sipping lattes, flying business class, and calling it consultation. So here's what I say, enough. No more thought bubbles. No more press release policies. No more selling out our resources, our infrastructure, and our future to line the pockets of overseas shareholders and incompetent premiers. If you screw up, you don't get a bailout. You get shown the bloody door. You want real change? Start with gas. Reserve it. Guarantee a price cap. Back Aussie manufacturing instead of flogging it off. Invest in real productivity, not just population inflation. Build, don't just import. And maybe, just maybe, stop letting Victoria get away with economic murder. And to every politician watching this, and don't pretend you're not, know this. We see you. We see the games, the spin, the handouts to mates. We see the failure. And we're not copying it anymore. You better start acting for the people who put you there. Or next election, you're going to find out just how bloody angry this country's become. And just when you think the madness has peaked, here comes the next level of bureaucratic bull, the so-called renewable transition. Now, before the Twitter warriors wet their pants, no one's saying clean energy is bad. Solar panels? Great. Wind turbines? Lovely. But when you bulldoze coal and gas without a bloody plan, You're not saving the planet. You're just sending us straight into blackout city with a side of economic collapse. They shut down Little, Hazelwood, and Yallen with the kind of smug satisfaction you'd expect from someone who's never changed a fuse in their life. And what do we get in return? A few patchy wind farms, and some bloke in Canberra telling us the grid'll be fine if we just believe. Mate, this isn't Peter Pan. It's national energy security. You can't run a country on vibes and virtue signalling. You want to know what else they didn't tell you? That every time we lose a coal station, prices spike. Not just a little bit. We're talking body blow level hits. Industries fold, jobs vanish, families get slammed. Meanwhile, corporate energy retailers jack up prices, rake in the profits, and then ask the government for subsidies. It's like robbing a bloke, and then billing him for the privilege. And while all this chaos unfolds, guess who's waiting in the wings? China. Yeah, while we're patting ourselves on the back for decarbonising, they're building more coal stations every month than we've got left standing. They're locking in 30-year gas deals while our leaders can't even get a contract for next week. We're not just losing the energy war, we're forfeiting it. But here's the bit that really boils the blood. They're not incompetent. They know exactly what they're doing. These green bandwagon policies aren't about the environment. They're about control. Kill off reliable energy, and you make people dependent. Raise prices, and you squeeze the middle class. Dangle subsidies like bait, and you own the narrative. It's a slow-cooked power grab wrapped in a sustainability bow. And if you dare question it, you're labelled a denier, a fossil fool, or a right-wing nutjob. Doesn't matter that the grid's collapsing or that we're importing gas in a gas-rich country. Doesn't matter that everyday Aussies are living in energy poverty while energy ministers pose with windmills like they're on a tourism brochure. The second you ask for logic, you're cast out like a leper. Let's talk housing while we're at it, because this whole charade bleeds into every part of life. We're cramming people into cities like sardines, but not building nearly enough homes. Rents are exploding, mortgage rates are brutal, and what's the answer? More migration, less planning, and just be grateful you've got a roof. They're not even pretending anymore. The government is treating housing like a monopoly board. High immigration pumps up demand. Limited supply pushes up prices. Investors make a killing. Young Aussies? Shut out, priced out and told to move regional to towns that don't even have enough teachers, nurses, or bloody internet. And where does all that inflated housing wealth end up? Propping up consumption. People redraw their loans, borrow against their homes, and spend like things will be fine forever. But when the RBA jacks up rates to tame the very inflation this system creates, who cops it? Not the MPs with 5 properties. Not the fat cats in banking. It's you, me, and every battler trying to keep the lights on and the mortgage paid. You want to hear something cooked? While all this unfolds, we're still sending foreign aid to countries that are buying our gas and selling it back to us at a premium. Yeah, read that again. We give them the gas, they liquefy it, ship it back, and flog it to us for double. That's not foreign policy. That's being the village idiot of global trade. And what does the media do? They run puff pieces. Albo holding a baby, Dutton walking through a hardware store, Green senators dancing at protests while their own constituents freeze through winter. This isn't journalism. It's a reality show with a script written by lobbyists and funded by taxpayer dollars. You'd think we were powerless, right? But we're not. That's the last lie they want you to believe. The truth is, Aussies are waking up. They've had enough of being lied to, taxed dry, priced out, and told it's for their own good. They're angry. They're ready, and they're starting to talk. So, what do? First, we call it like it is. This energy transition isn't green. It's red. Red tape, red ink, red faces when the lights go out. We need to stop pretending that virtue can replace voltage. We need baseload energy, not Twitter likes. Second, demand a real reservation policy. WA did it. And guess what? They've got the cheapest gas in the country. It's not rocket science. If we're going to drill it, we bloody well deserve to use it first. You wouldn't bake a pie and let the neighbours eat it before your kids, would you? Third, and this one's important, we've got to change how we vote. Stop backing brand names. Start backing ideas. Doesn't matter if it's Labour, Liberal, Greens, or the Pet Budgie Party. If they're not standing up for sovereign energy, affordable housing, and real productivity, they're part of the problem. And to the young people out there, I get it. You've been fed climate fear, debt doom, and the myth that asking questions makes you evil. But listen up. Critical thinking isn't dangerous. It's patriotic. You've got more power than you think, and your voice matters more than their algorithms want you to believe. We don't need a revolution. We need a reckoning, a line in the sand, a moment where Australians say, no more. No more buying back what's already ours. No more punishing success while rewarding failure. No more being ashamed to put your own country first. Because here's the bottom line, mate. They work for us, not the other way round. They don't get to auction off our energy, our homes, and our kids' futures to the highest bidder. Not without a fight. See you in the next one. And don't forget to slap that like button like it just doubled your power bill. Oi, and if you're properly fuming, snag the error 404 motivation not found T. Wear it when you're opening your latest energy bill, filling up your tank, or just trying not to scream in aisle 6 when you see the price of butter. Stay sharp. Stay stubborn. And never stop calling out the suits who sold us out for a quick buck. Catch you on the flip side, legend.